Welcome to The Special Sauce, the podcast that goes inside the minds of recruitment's top 1%. We're your hosts, Chris Pedicus and Lee Jones, the founders of Sorciety, the rec-to-rec agency connecting elite recruiters with elite opportunities. Each week, we sit down with agency recruiters who are billing big numbers annually to uncover what really drives high performance in this industry. It's no fluff, it's no filters, it's just real conversations with the best in the business. Welcome to this week's episode of The Special Sauce. I'm your host, Chris Pedicus, and as always, I'm joined by the one and only Lee Jones. This week's guest on The Special Sauce is none other than Jay Wynter from Precision Sourcing. Jay's been with Precision Sourcing for 11 years and is currently the SAP practice lead, managing a team of 9 while still being hands-on and billing himself. Jay has a proven track record of billing over $1 million per annum for 7 years in a row, and in today's show, we discuss his obsession with numbers and how this is the cornerstone of his and his team's success, living and breathing your community and giving value, relationships, how he builds them and where the real value actually is, and how Jay manages the balance between his team and his own work. Jay, welcome to The Special Sauce. It's great to have you on.
Some intro that, isn't it?
Big time. Told you he's been practicing.
I know. Practice makes perfect.
How you been, mate? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. It's been, obviously we're end of quarter at the minute. So, very, very busy. But, very good, man.
Recruitment God's looking after you at the moment? You and your team?
Yeah, we're doing well at the minute. We've been through that kind of downturn of 2 years and we did invest a lot in keeping our staff. And, that's paying dividend now. And, we're actually off the back of a record quarter. When we're speaking to experts in the market, like Greg Savage and, other consultants in that space, they're saying that other agencies are not doing that at the minute. So something's working and, we're happy at the minute.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing out there in the market is definitely the tech recruitment market's, on the rise for a lot of agencies. But I think, from the conversations we've already had with you, I think you guys are probably a little bit ahead of, probably a pretty fair way ahead of a lot of others out there. But I think for anyone listening, it's good to hear of other recruiters doing well, right? Because it just shows there's the work's out there if you're willing to hunt it down, right?
Definitely, yeah. And how are you guys finding the market?
For us, the market's pretty good at the moment, mate. I would say that, there's quite a bit of confidence in the market. So I think a lot of agencies are hiring, but, it is pretty candidate short as well. I think over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of people leave the industry altogether and go to TA, or just, leave and go into sales roles and whatever else, which is fine. But also agencies have got really high expectations of recruiters right now. I think, as you probably are well aware, the last 12 to 18 months have been pretty tough out there. And it takes a certain type of recruiter to be able to bill and have the resilience in that space. So, it's always good to have work, but it's still tough like anyone else. We've still got to fill the jobs, right?
Yeah, we definitely noticed that. And like you said, a lot of recruiters did leave the industry. That was a tough 2 years. But I found that the recruiters that went back to basics and the face-to-face and building communities and really going back to basics and getting themselves back out there, they're the ones that have survived this period. So I suppose it's part of the
I think it's a good grounding for us.
Yeah.
Right. Coming in a tough market, I think, the last 18, 24 months have been tough across most sectors. And I think if someone joined the industry then, have grafted, call it survived up until now, and they've put in the work over the next, 1 to 2 years, they're going to see the fruits of their labour. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
They're going to see the results that they've put in. So I think, good on them for hanging around and showing some ticker, right?
And you think like even before that downturn, that boom period we had, that was very, very abnormal. I've never seen a market like it before. It was literally chuck a bit of shit and it would stick. And
100%.
And it went very kind of transactional. It moved like behind screens and like people laugh at me when I say this, but I actually hated that boom time because it wasn't proper recruitment. And like that downturn, it's really like humbled some people and got back to basics. So that was it's been a good time.
Yeah, I think being rec to recs, we saw it firsthand, right? Especially from a candidate perspective, where candidates came in at that time and no experience or billing maybe 500 or 600 in the first year, which is it's unheard of, right?
Crazy.
It's unheard of, and on top of that, had to do no BD. The work was called in. the market shits itself and it goes back to, call it normal or traditional recruitment, whatever you want to call it, where, you have to fight for your roles. You have to fight for those relationships, fight to, get the right sort of percentage terms and everything. And a lot of them just said, well, it's a different job to what I signed up for.
Exactly.
And they've moved on.
And that's what I call this market now. It's just very, very, very normalized.
Yeah.
You've got to work hard to find talent. You've got to work hard to bring on new business. And even our hiring managers as well that we work with, it's a very normalized market for them as well, having to work hard to find talent and work hard to build teams. And it's just very, very normal. This is like a pre-COVID market. So.
Yeah,
absolutely. But mate, let's get into it. Billing $1 million 7 years in a row. It's obviously no fluke, right? So talk to us about your obsession with your numbers and what this actually means for you.
Yeah, so it wasn't always a million every year. When I first started, it was I was a rookie. I had no experience at all, and I started in October 2014, and at Precision we do like 3 months of intense training. So my MD Simon used to be a teacher, and we do that in like intense kind of candidate and client training. So I used the October to the end of the year to train, and then when I got back after the Christmas holiday, I started marketing. And it was February when I'd done my first placement. So it took 5 months of that training, then building up your talent pools, and then doing that outreach of BD before doing the first placement. So that was February, and then obviously the end of the financial year is June. So in that period, I billed 30K, and I was a pure contract recruiter. The second full year was 266, and then the third year it took off 644, and then it was $1 million every year for 7 years. So you mentioned there around like have an obsession with numbers, and I think obviously we met last week, and you were asking me like, what do you mean by this? And we use a tool called it's Cube 19. Obviously they were acquired by Bullhorn, so Bullhorn Analytics, and we could track back from your goal and what you wanted to achieve. And I wanted to bill $1 million. That was a goal that I had. And I knew exactly the metrics on how to get there. So I knew that I had to bill. So I knew I had to get 2 interviews a week to get that outcome of billing $1 million. And like for me, being obsessed with the numbers, like sales is just never ending. Do a deal, it's like, where's the next one? Do 10 placement, okay, do 20. It's just no end to it. So like I've got the fundamental belief that you need to know what a good week is and a bad week is, or a good month and a bad month. And like I said, I got obsessed with the numbers. And if I got 2 interviews in that week, I could pat myself on the back and go to the pub on a Friday, happy days, that I've achieved what I needed to achieve in the week. And I even knew how many meetings I needed to get on to get the vacancies as well. So 5 meetings a week, again, to get a couple of vacancies on, to get those interviews, and then there you go. So it was all tracked back from Cube 19 or Bullhorn Analytics as they call it now. And this is exactly what I do with the team now as well. So it's not, I never tell them, okay, you need to do this or you need to do that, because there's a million ways to skin a cat, and each recruiters are driven by different things. But understanding their goal, understand how much they want to or need to bill, and then work backwards with the numbers. So that's kind of the fundamentals of knowing what a good week is and what a bad week is. Yeah.
Like Chris and I have both managed people over the years, and we've worked for businesses that were very, I guess, data driven as well, right? And I think I definitely can appreciate that. A lot of recruiters I speak to might look at that and say, that's not for me. That seems to be like being micromanaged and things like that. What would you say to people who have that mentality or mindset around, I guess, the data and the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, you could call it like micromanaging. I disagree. It's more. It's up to the recruiter. It's up to them. And as leaders, we're here just to, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get them to drink it. It's up to them. And to be honest with you, Lee, it was one of my fundamental mistakes when I first got into leadership. That we had different levels. So you had like a rookie, then you had a consultant, you had a senior, then a principal, and they each had like deal targets. So a principal would do 4 a month, and then 3 for a senior, 2 for a consultant, and one for a rookie. So I would go really deep into the numbers, and I would treat the title with a certain amount of numbers and drive people towards that. And it fell flat on its face.
Yeah.
Because you're forgetting the holistic side of people. You're forgetting the holistic side of reviews. And it really did fall flat on its face. And it was one of my like biggest mistakes going into leadership. So, coming back to your question, everyone's different, and to treat people the same, you have to treat them differently.
Yeah.
How do you do that in terms of individualizing it so, it's custom for everyone gets that buy-in? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I've always said like full of quotes, but I'm a football guy. I'm a Chelsea fan, but the ex Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, he had a quote, and he said, "It's my job to work with motivated people, not to motivate people." And I think that comes back to your hiring strategy and what you're looking for. So yes, we hire experienced recruiters, but fundamentally what we're looking for is a good attitude and do what they say they're going to do. And if they do that, and they're coming and they're showing up to work and they've got a good attitude and they're doing what they say they're going to do, like, it comes from them. And I'm just there as a guide to support, to coach, to help, to help them along the way. So yeah, and the people that are not motivated, they're probably the people that have exited the industry in the last couple of years when there is that downturn.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing about a downturn. You see who your warriors are.
100%.
Yeah.
And I guess prime example is the amount of recruiters that have left the market over the last 2 years, for sure.
You mentioned off air, you celebrate the inputs, right? That lead to obviously outcomes more than the placements.
Yeah.
Can you go into detail around this and the why?
Yeah. So the office laugh at me at this as well, because obviously we share our deals. When we do a deal in the Teams chat, people get up, ring the bell, and it's a big celebration. And I'm the guy that just likes it. I don't love it. Yeah. And you're probably like, why is that? And for me, if you celebrate and over celebrate a deal, like, recruiters may take shortcuts to get the deal, whereas I'm under a fundamental belief that the process never ever changes. So if you're if you know your numbers and you're getting the number of meetings, you're getting the number of vacancies every week, you're getting the interviews, and you're really honing in and focusing on that and doing the basics, like, following up after each interview and getting feedback and giving yourself the opportunity to influence, and all the stuff, I call it the iceberg. Like, all people see is the deal, but all the stuff that you can't see, that's the stuff that I celebrate. So if anyone books a new client meeting, it's like hi-fi. It's like you're celebrating more than a deal. If anyone influences a client to interview one of your candidates after it's being rejected, I mean, that to me is just gold dust. Yeah. So all these little moments of truth, they're the things that you should celebrate. And a deal and the dollars is just byproducts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my whole approach. It's celebrate the small wins, basically. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I think, we've both been in the industry for close to 20 years, or all of us have, right? And one thing I've always noticed is, a rookie comes in, their first, 18 to 24 months, they follow everything to a T, right? In terms of process. Then they get, they start to see some early signs of success, and then that's when they start cutting corners.
Yeah.
I don't need to follow up here. I don't need to prep the candidate there, or I'll just send the CV. I won't call the client. All those little, call it one percenters rather, they all add up in the end, right? And then typically you see when they start cutting corners, results go down, and all of a sudden they're recruitment's shit and I'm out. So
what recruiters tend to do, and like everyone's guilty of this, I'm guilty of it, everyone's guilty of it, is assumptions. They assume. All right. So like Chris, if I said to you $250,000, what do you think straight away?
Billings. Yeah. Billings, it's good, it's a lot of money, right?
What else? If I said $250,000 in terms of a salary,
Yeah.
what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Must be big dog, in recruitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big leader, big biller. Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah. So then if I said, well, that salary is for the president of the United States, again, what would you think then?
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough. Yeah, exactly. So instantly, recruiters, when they take a job spec or they go to market or they speak to a candidate, we come up with all these assumptions straight away.
Yeah.
And that we do that because of speed. And it's like, oh, okay, I've been in this situation before. This is the outcome. So like you said, we cut corners but if a recruiter just goes back to basics and doesn't judge, doesn't assume, then you're giving yourself a bigger opportunity to build more. So like, I'll give you an example. Like we had one client and we had 10 vacancies in a row from them. And we didn't place one person, right? Industry average job to fill ratio is about 5 or 6 to 1. And for our recruiters to get promoted, they need to be under 3 to 1. So every 3 vacancies, there's a placement. So we're really tight on job specs. So you can imagine this client with 10 vacancies and no placements. So if that client rings again for the 11th placement, what are you going to assume?
It's the same and you're not going to fill them.
It's the same and you're not going to fill them. But there was one recruiter that actually was new to the business and was like, do you know what? I'm actually going to take the time. I'm going to go meet the client face to face and I'm going to do a really tight job spec. I'm going to ask him the hard questions. And he come back and he filled that role. So that's my message. Like, if you're a recruiter, try not to assume. And again, like, they laugh at me in the office for this. So that's one of my mottos is like, don't assume, like never assume. I think that there's something in that for every recruiter to take away and implement as well.
Yeah, 100%. I like that.
It's asking those questions, right? Continually asking those questions. And, even on basics, right? When, candidates are in the mix with multiple roles, I'd imagine. It's just consistently asking them every day, what's changed? Where are you at? Where's that other opportunity? And building those habits over time, right?
Yeah.
So you don't make that assumption, but you know what's going on. You can control as much as you can in the world of people, right? Which is hard enough as it is in the first place.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you or talk about, right, was just the importance of a niche market, knowing your market size, the number of decision makers, and this probably, comes in with your obsession with numbers. How does this sort of help you, and how let me start that again. How does this help you know how deep you are and how involved you are in the market?
Yeah, so that's really important for us. Like, so 4 years ago, we had a goal to know every single client in our market, and we achieved that. We got given a list by a consultancy, and we know there's 397 potential customers in our market, and we also know that how many signed terms we have with them. So we've got 63 signed terms. The reason why it's important is we know the size of our market. We know how many clients that we're across. We know we've placed with 117 of them, so just over a quarter. So that's really important because it helps us with hiring. It helps us with targets. It helps us with target clients, and it helps us with delivery as well, because you don't want to work with every single client in the market. But we know we're in a position where we work with a good amount, a quarter, and the only way we grow now is by adding recruiters. So I think, and we got recommended a external consultant called Ben Wood, and he came in at the beginning of the month. He worked with me for 3 months with 3 sessions, and we were looking at our ways of working. And he said, like, actually knowing your market size is actually really, really powerful, and he's been recommending that to other agencies. So yeah, it's just it's a real good start point. It's really good to manage expectations of our recruiters, get them to know the opportunity in the market. Because when you've got a team of eight or nine recruiters, sometimes you can feel that you're up against your colleague. But if we're only across 23, 24, 25% of the market, there's so much more to go at. So
I think speaking from a rec to rec perspective, that's really good, because I think so many recruiters, when they go into an agency, a lot of agencies won't be able to give too much detail or specifics on what that person would potentially be doing. But if you can tell those prospective, employees that, hey, we already know this will be your desk, this is your market, this is the size, this is how it's going to look, compared to, let's say, your competitor who can't give that information, it puts you at the front of the pack in terms of hiring for yourself.
100%.
So I think it's really powerful, yeah.
100%. And that's probably a good sort of segue in terms of, knowing, one thing you really talked about when we sort of prepped for this was living and breathing your community, right? Talk to us, what this actually means to you, and have you gone about building a community in your space?
Yeah, so like you guys, we've done the HOXO methodology course. So we've done that during COVID with Sean Anderson, and he's a big believer of that community. And it is a word that gets chucked about at the minute, but if you do really live and breathe it, it is the way forward. Like, you think of AI that's being introduced at the minute, and like, people are getting lonely. So actually getting them together, having that FaceTime, whether it's an event or a podcast like this, building deeper relationships, like, I really do fundamentally believe that's what got us through the downturn. Those relationships that we built up over the last 10 years, really they're the managers that used us for hiring. So like, the way we do it is that we, like, in terms of, I speak specifically about an event that we do. So we do a bit of a market survey. We reach out to our clients in our community and ask them what their pains are and their ambitions, and what some of their challenges are at the minute. And usually in our market, it's to do with new technology, or it could be AI, for instance. So then what we do on our client meetings, we would talk about some of these challenges, and if someone can answer them really well, we'd ask them, have you ever thought about speaking at a live event? And we take them through that kind of process. And what we do is, to get 50 people in a room, we invite 100 managers. And really, we want to invite our community, our hiring managers, that people that we've worked with, or prospective new clients. Yeah. So that's our outreach, and we fill the room and make sure it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Make sure the speaker is class and really, really good. So you do background checks on them, and understand where they've spoke before. But yeah, once you've got that speaker locked in, you give yourself a 12-week lead time, and reach out to the community and fill the room. And then it's just a case of getting food, getting drinks, and on the night, like, I'm there or one of my colleagues are there opening up the event. We're talking about precision. We're talking about the community we're creating. We're talking about the goal that we're looking to achieve, which really is for them to take something from the night that they can implement in their day job the next day. And then we're introducing the speaker, and then it's over to them. And then at the end of the event, we might present our talent survey that we do, or we might talk about a quarterly report that we write, just to give some market insight. And then it's the networking, few beers.
So all the good stuff happens.
All the good stuff, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like having 50 client meetings in one night, having a few beers, having a bit of food, and there we go. So, and that it is a lot of effort from like a marketing standpoint, and that's where we do have a very strong marketing manager, Kira. She's been brilliant. Creating flyers and running of the event, and like all the camera set up and the editing afterwards. So a lot goes into it from a marketing standpoint. But what that does from a recruitment standpoint, we can pick up the phone to a manager that we've worked with or a new prospective manager, and we're not asking them, oh, have you got any jobs? Like, it's just not transactional. It's like, okay, look, we understand you've got this challenge at the minute. We've actually got an event. We've got this speaker. We've actually gone out and we've sourced this speaker. It's on this night. Do you want to come? Okay. And by the way, you can bring some of your team members as well. It's an exclusive invite, and there you go. And then once you've had the event, you follow up after. And the feedback we've got. But we've been doing that for 9 years. So it's not a overnight win. It's just consistently doing it over time.
Yeah, I think a common trend we're seeing with our guests on here, the community building has been, something that a lot of them are involved in, and has had a massive, I guess, positive effect on their success. And I think there's some that their events are really expensive and really elaborate, but there's others that just will do 6 or 7 people for a kind of dinner in a private room at a restaurant, kind of thing as well. So I think keen to get your thoughts on it, but certainly my advice would be for junior recruiters is just get people together. It doesn't need to be something crazy.
It doesn't even need to be like expensive. I reckon our last event cost $1,000.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
bit of food, a few beers. We've done it in our office.
Yep.
And like I said, with AI, people are so lonely now, and just getting them together.
Mm.
Having a beer on a Thursday night. I mean, it's just a couple of hours, like, happy days.
Yeah.
But it's also the credibility piece, for you and your business and for prospective new clients. They know, hey, Precision's a real deal when it comes to this. They know what they're talking about. They've got the access to, this talent as well. Just on that, I guess, what advice would you give for, say someone maybe in the first 2 or 3 years, right? Haven't really built a community. How would they go about it, or what sort of advice would you give them just to get a start?
So if I rewind back to my first couple of years, by the way, I've really struggled in my first year. I came from a transactional sales background. When I sat on an auto dialer, $400 a day, 100 connected calls, 25% close. It's still ingrained in my mind. I'm obsessed with numbers. That's probably where it comes from. So when I first joined recruitment, like Precision, and I was in recruitment, I brought that transactional mentality, and I was doing 100, 120 calls a week, and I would just forget. It was just so ingrained to me. Every no was closer to a yes. And I remember there was this client called Dunhome Nutrition, the baby formula. Yeah. I think I said this on Sean's podcast, but I went out, and the manager's name is Alan Brooks, and he was a big Man City fan. I'm a Chelsea fan, and basically we spent half an hour just talking about football. And it got to the end of the 30 minutes, like the time went like that, and it got to the end of the 30 minutes, and Alan turned around and he said, "I'm so sorry, Jay, like I've got to go, I've got another meeting." And I'm like, shit, I haven't asked one thing about work. I've got to go back to my team leader. I've like, shit. So jumped back on the train. I was just like, what am I going to say? And got back in the office, and Ben Duncan, my old team leader, said to me, how did it go? I said, yeah, he's a good guy, isn't he? Yeah, he's a Man City fan, and I'm like, please don't ask me anything else. And luckily he didn't. But 2 weeks later, I got an inbound call, and it was Alan Brooks, and he said, I've got 2 contract requirements. And I filled them both, and the penny dropped. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it now. It's getting out, it's meeting people, it's building relationships, and that pays dividend later on. So that would be my message to any new recruiter starting, like, get away from your screens. Yes, volume's got a place, 100%. You can't get away from that, but relationships over everything. Yeah, and it's not a job. It really is a lifestyle, recruitment. Like, you have to be curious.
Yeah, spot on. I want to talk about a term that you told us, right? Clandidates, CLANDI, Clandidates, right?
You get stuck there.
Say that again.
No, let me start again. Sorry, again. I was going to fuck it up.
You've got to keep that in, by the way.
No, we're keeping
100% keeping that in.
All right. You talked to us about it. All right, now I've got to focus. I've really got to find my zen. Phew.
None of it's getting edited.
I don't
No,
care,
no,
man.
that's
I'm cool.
100%,
This is
like-
good. I'm authentic. I love it.
I will not approve us unless that's in.
All right, Jay, when all preparing for this, you mentioned a term, candidates. What is this? What does it mean? Why is it important?
So good. So I suppose this is a good segue when I'm talking to recruiters in their first couple of years. But one of the disciplines I had and I stuck to was meeting a senior person in my market at least once a month.
Yep.
And I'll add on to that is when they're looking for a job, when they're at the most vulnerable. They may have been a CIO or a program director in their previous organization, and the organization's made cuts or whatever. They're at the most vulnerable when they're looking. So I'd meet them, and not many recruiters do this because they'd only meet that person if they've got jobs for them. Yeah. So you meet them at the most vulnerable and listen to their story. And you think some of these senior people, they wouldn't have been in that position of job hunting before. Now, obviously, as a recruiter, you're in the market every day and you speak to so many different people. So you know what's good, you know what's not. And the majority of the time, these people are amazing. So they just need their tires pumped up.
Yep.
They just need their confidence boost because they're at their most vulnerable. So you give them that. And then you do a proactive search. So what I do is I send them every single customer that we've worked with over the last 2 years, or every single customer that we've done a placement with over the last 2 years. And my commitment to them is working with them proactively. And more often than not, I'm working with them exclusively, but working with them proactively. And I help them with their CV, and I help them with their the social and LinkedIn. And then I'll reverse market them in to good contacts that we have. And the majority of them are contacts that have come to an event. So, they're happy to receive a call. And that way I'm trying to generate a job. Now, I don't always place that person, and more often than not, we don't, but they remember that. And they're some of our best clients now because they've got into a new organization, and what they're going to do when they need people, they come to us. So that's what I mean by candidates. I'm firmly believe there's no such thing as a client because your clients are future candidates, and there's no such thing as a candidate because your candidates are future clients. So that's where that term, candidates, comes from.
Yeah. What I want to talk about now is personal branding. I think, we've both had kind of some similar training around the personal branding stuff and the HOXO methodology through Sean Anderson. Tell us how much of a, positive effect that's had on you, your desk, your team, and the importance of it for you.
Well, top line, as an agency, we had a look at I think it was the last 2 financial years. And we know that 25% of our margin was attributed to, the HOXO methodology. A quarter of our business come from that. And that's not candidates, that's vacancies coming inbound through managers reaching out on LinkedIn. It's really been it's a huge fundamental part of our business. People think it is a lot of work. It really isn't. It's more about consistency. And the analogy I like to use is, say if you go to a pub and buy a beer for your mate, they feel obliged to buy you one back. Okay. So what I mean by that is, if you put that in context on social, a lot of recruiters go to social and they ask, I need 2 people for this job, or I need this, I need that, I. Where if you could flip it and you give content, you give a piece of credible content, or you give a piece of, I mentioned earlier about pains and ambitions, and you share how to overcome that on on LinkedIn. You share your personality and you put yourself out there. I think Sean calls it an entertainment post now. And you share some insights from your market, from the conversations that you're having, from meetings that you're having, from even from the events that you run, or the podcast that you host, or and you give. you sit in people's subconscious. So when you are, or hopefully when you're a candidate and you're looking for a role, you're thinking of that brand that keeps doing that, which is obviously us. So yeah, like I said, it's been a real fundamental part of our business. And yeah, you just have to do it consistently, or don't do it at all.
Yeah, well, Chris and I, we always talk about this because we don't really do much on the personal social media front, but we're obviously smash out LinkedIn. We get a bit of stick from our mates.
Yeah.
Do you get the same from your mates?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, like I've got a football background, and I think I've said this story before, but I remember going into the changing room and just getting absolutely rinsed. Like, who's this guy I think he is? And he posting all this stuff on LinkedIn. And but the turning point for me was 4 years later. That guy that was completely rinsing me, he phoned me. He was like, "Mate, how are you doing this? Can I like learn?" And he was in the office, and I took him through like what we do. So that was the real turning point. So yeah.
Oh, good. And I think, once again, we speak to, I mean, we look at recruiter LinkedIn profiles all day, every day, right? And I think there's so many recruiters that don't really want to do the, let's call it the older, more traditional ways when it comes to BD, which is the, smashing out the phone. And I think so many of them don't really put any time and effort into that, personal branding or social media. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel like saying, like, what would you rather do? Do 5 posts over a week or smash out 50 cold calls? You know what I mean? Like,
these days, people don't pick up the phone, right?
Yeah.
It's a different world.
At least you get some impressions, right?
I still think there's definitely a place for old school. I think old school will never die.
Yeah.
Like, it's like football, right? The fundamentals are the same. Still the same white line, still the same 2 goals. Yes, you've got your VAR and all your cameras and stuff, and it gets bigger and but like 100%. But the fundamentals are still the same. But it helps you. It makes them calls a lot warmer. If you're doing a complete cold call and you say your name and they've seen 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 100 posts of yours. It never ceases to amaze me. You're like, okay, yeah, I've seen this, and I've seen you done that recently, and it's like, wow, okay. So it warms it up for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
we've definitely found that as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Mate, I imagine running a desk, obviously managing a very high performing team, and also being a father to a 1-year-old. Obviously keeps you on your toes, keeps you busy, right? How do you find the time just to do all that? Like, you talk us through your time management piece, from whether it's a daily, weekly, monthly. What do you do to just get everything done?
Yeah, there's never enough hours in the day, but like planning is everything. So every Sunday without fail for 45 minutes, I will sit down and I'll plan my week. So that's from reviews, from meetings that I've got, through candidate calls, the events that we do. Like, I'll literally put it in the diary. And I'm very, very kind of strict with the boundaries as well. Like, I live in Manly, so I get the ferry like to and from work, and that is my shut off point. As soon as I'm on that ferry, like, I will not look at my phone. And I learned that from one of my colleagues, Joel. He was very, very strict. 8 o'clock was his shut off, and like, there's nothing you can do to influence anything at night. And we've had recruiters before that have been on their phone at midnight, sending out messages and emails, and like, you just burn out in the end. So like, you have to set boundaries and you have to plan. And if you don't plan, I find that recruiters become very, very reactive, and they go off track. Whereas if you've got a plan in place, if you go off the 1%, you can pull yourself back in. So planning, and then reviews. We have this review form, and to this day, I still use that. So we have a weekly review, monthly review, and then a quarterly review. So I plan out my quarter, and then got 3 really clear goals. And then I've got my strategies underneath that, what I'll execute. Then I'll pull that into my monthly review. So what's key this month to focus on. And then everything in my monthly review is specific actions for the week. Again, they get pulled into the weekly review. So all that's done in that kind of planning segment on a Sunday. And I know exactly what I need to achieve for the week in order to be successful. And that it can change from time to time. You've always, you get a call and all of a sudden there's, few exclusive vacancies and it needs to happen like now. Like, of course, you're always going to get that, but you still need to have, like I said, that fundamental plan and stick to it.
Yeah. What about like outside of work? Is there anything that you do to kind of, I mean, obviously you've got family time, but is there anything else you do to kind of clear the head or, give yourself some relaxation time?
Yeah. So football was my out. And then I had a really bad knee injury and it's golf. Golf's my out now. Get long. It's like 4 or 5 hours and phones in the bag and you with your mates. Obviously since having a kid that time's
It's harder to get.
Yeah, it's harder to get out, but I wouldn't change that for the world. It's been amazing. Watching Ivy grow up, but definitely you need a good mix of like family time, individual time. Like I train like once a day. That's key for me, and I've had to change that. That's at lunchtime now. I used to train in the morning. It's at lunch. So again, it's all about setting boundaries and making sure you've got time for your family, making sure you've got time for yourself, and then making sure you've got work time, because it's very, very easy for that to take over everything.
Yeah,
100%. And I really like what you said just about setting boundaries. Right, once you're on the ferry to Manly, it's phone off, because I know, especially in my younger years, I used to get so fucking stressed out, man. You'd be sitting there at 8 o'clock and you'd get a message or an email from your client, or a candidate that's going to take a counter or something. But as you said, you wouldn't sleep because you'd just be thinking about it and what's going to happen tomorrow, and eventually it takes its toll, right? But
exactly, yeah.
Just having that mentality to, it's 8 o'clock at night, I can't do anything. It's what's done's done.
You've got good at that lately. I've noticed that.
I don't reply your texts at night anymore.
No, you don't. Even if it's something like just about TV, though, you don't even respond.
Alicia, my wife's told me to get off the phone.
Yeah, I should probably do it as well.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say to that as well around time management, where I think a lot of recruiters can improve, is managing expectations. So say you're on a call, booking a meeting with a client, and they give you a vacancy, and perfect vacancy, you sell exclusivity and are only working with you. And a lot of recruiters won't manage their time. They won't book in interview stages or commit to an update with a client in 48 hours or 70, whatever it is. They just go away and say, yeah, well, I'll work that. And the clients, they don't know when you're coming back to them. They don't know,
they don't know what we do.
They're
right?
in limbo.
They don't know what
goes on behind the scenes.
behind the
It's
scenes.
the iceberg, like you said before.
Exactly.
They see the CV, that's all they see. And the person that rocks up for an interview and how they got there, they're oblivious to it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And if you could sit there and clearly articulate what you're going to do after that meeting, what's your process, who you're going to reach out to first, how long that's going to take, like, they will feel more comfortable leaving it with you exclusively. And then you book in, your follow-up meeting afterwards. And then all of a sudden you're talking about your mid-list or long list, and you got that down to a mid-list, and you met them face-to-face, you've done your background checks, and these are the 3 that stand out. And then you book in the next stage. So it's all about managing expectations. And then the other thing is booking in the next stage as well.
I think just what you said there, you think of, maybe I'm speaking just more specific to a perm process. That's my background. But you think how many times you can get in front of a client, right? Take the brief, you face-to-face, a shortlist presentation, feedback after first round of interviews, take them out for a coffee and actually go through it and say, well, who'd you like, who you didn't. But it comes back to, I think, control, right? If you're saying, hey, the first interview's on the 10th of October, the second's on the 13th of October, and the decision's on the 14th, it's control and for everyone, right? Candidates and clients.
Exactly, yeah. And the same thing with candidates as well. Like if you can commit to getting back to them at such and such a date, they're not going to be calling you every day because they know that calls coming.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important when it comes to time management. It's managing expectations.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, Jay, before we go, only the hard-hitting questions here on the special sauce. But if you had to give one or two pieces of advice to, let's say, a recruiter in their first couple of years of agency recruitment, what would be the top two tips you had for them?
It's a good question, that. There's so much. I like the Nike motto, like do what you say, just do it. Sorry, not do what you say you're going to do, just do it. I think recruiters can, especially in the first couple of years, they can procrastinate over a call or procrastinate over a meeting, or and they end up not doing it. Like, done's better than perfect. So I think just doing it. That's fundamentally important. The second thing I would say, and like I said, that got us through the downturn is relationships, and not just going out and meeting people for the sake of it, but something that I struggle to coach this, and I don't know how to do this with people, but it's that word, be curious, like genuinely curious. And I think curiosity opens up so many doors. If you're meeting someone and you're asking them questions and you're generally interested, like I said, it's so powerful, and it will open up a lot of opportunities. So I think they're the two things that I would say to someone that's just started in the industry or a couple of years in, is just do it, and just be really curious.
Perfect. Mate, you've given us some absolute gold nuggets today for us, I think, and our listeners. Thank you so much for your time today. We know you've got a short week and a bit on your plate at the moment. Thank you very much, and all the best for the last quarter of the year.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Chris.
No,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Good man. That's a wrap for this episode of The Special Sauce. We hope that you're walking away with some insights that you can actually use every day on your desk. If you enjoyed the conversation, follow, like, subscribe, or leave a review so we can reach more recruiters just like you. For more about Sorciety, check out our website on sorciety.com or follow us on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on The Special Sauce.